This is a tutorial to help you set up your data collection for your students' IEPs using Google Forms. Many of you were at my training at Jobalike on Wednesday, so this is a follow-up training to help make this idea a little more concrete. So first I'm going to take you through just a couple of points from the previous training. So first let's review why we need to collect data in the first place. First off, it's the law, and it's our responsibility as special education teachers to track and monitor the progress of the students that we serve. Second, data influences your IEP decisions, and it also drives your classroom instruction. And finally, data shows whether or not your interventions are being effective. According to research in 2012, 70% of teachers said they did not take consistent data on their students' IEP. In the same study, it found that the teachers who did have data systems in place reported higher grades, higher student success, and greater goal progress. Also, ARD meetings with accurate data can run on average 40% shorter and result in fewer IEP parent rejections. And that's a big deal because 40% shorter means you have that much more time to spend with your students. So what I'm hoping that you'll gain today from watching this video is a sense that data collection can be easy to collect when you're using something like Google Forms. It can be fast and it can be easily interpreted. So, are you ready to get this party started? And by party, I mean, are you ready to start tracking some data in Google? If so, let's have at it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is log into Google and get into your HISD Google account. If you're unsure how to do this, reach out to your instructional technologist. You'll know you're in the right spot when you see your HISD credentials over the icon. So I see my email, I know I'm in the right place. Next, you're going to scroll over to the boxes that contain the Google Apps, and you're going to go to your drive. That's the triangle. So my drive already has some things in it because I've been taking data on my students. Your drive will be blank, and that's okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we need a goal that we're actually going to put into a Google form. So in my other open tab, I've got a goal I already want to use that I just pulled up in Goalbook, and it's just a generic goal. When working on an independent assignment and instructed to remain in her seat while working, Jill student will remain in her seat for a duration of at least 10 minutes while refraining from getting out of her seat in 4 out of 5 trials. So that's the goal that I'm going to put into the form. It might sound like something that your students work on. So what I'm going to do, go back to my Google Drive, scroll over to New, and then you want to find Form. It will always be the purple icon. Click on Google Form. It'll be untitled, of course, because it's new, so let's give it a title. Jill Student IEP. For a form description, I'm going to actually copy and paste from Goalbook that goal. So I'm copying, going back to my form, and pasting. So now the goal is in there for us. You'll notice up here it's automatically saving all the changes. You don't have to worry about hitting a save button. So now we need to add some questions we might want to know in regards to this goal to collect our data. First question would be, did Jill get out of her seat? It's already suggesting that this might be a yes or no question based on the type of phrasing that I used. So I'm going to give the options of yes and no. So that's a multiple choice question. You'll see right here, these are all different types of questions that you can use, and each one will give you a different type of data. But for right now, I'm just wanting yes or no. So now I want to ask another question. So I'm going to go to add question. It's the plus sign. And I'm going to say, how many prompts did Jill require to remain seated. So for this one, I could make it a short answer, or I could make it multiple choice and give a couple of different options. So I'm going to go ahead and go with short answer, and I'm going to let the responder actually type in the exact number of prompts that she needed to stay seated. I'm going to go over and add another question. Let's say maybe there's some behaviors that happen I want to track and know what makes her more likely to get out of her seat. So, did any of the following behaviors occur? And it's already telling me this might be a good question for checkboxes. So I'm going to add some behaviors here. Crying, hitting, work refusal. So those might be 3 things that might be occurring for the student in order for them to try to get out of their seat. So I'm going to also make these all required questions. So when a participant gets them, they are required to answer them. That way I get data on all of it and people don't pick and choose or forget. So we've made our form. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Scroll over to the little eyeball preview window. This is what the form will look like when you send it to someone to fill out. Let's pretend to take some data. Let's say, yes, she got out of her seat twice. She was crying and refusing to work. And then you hit submit. Now let's say another teacher's taking it. Did she get out of her seat? No. How many prompts did she require? How about 4? And she was hitting and refusing to do her work. Hit submit. So now I'm going to take you out of the editing window and into here to see responses. When you click on responses, there's your data for your goal progress. We can track antecedents to behaviors. We can see work refusal is a big one. So we know that if she refuses to do her work, she's more likely to try to get out of the table and get out of her seat. And that crying and hitting happen about half of the time. So over time, you get more responses, you get more accurate data. And it's pretty simple. So another thing real quick that you can do is you can click send. You can send this to someone just with their email. You can include the form in the email if you're sending it to a general ed teacher, and it'll automatically pop up in their email, and all they have to do is answer it real quick and it sends the information right back to you. So you don't have to go hunt them down to get data, and there's no paper for them to lose. So that works really, really well. Another thing you can do is you can share this. So I'm going to exit the form. So now I'm back to my drive. So my form's down here. But if you go back to let's see, where did it go? You can go back to the drive. You have your own drive and you have team drives. So for team drives, anything that you put in there, people you add to your team can also see it. So if you really want to share this regularly with related service providers like speech and OT, you might want to consider putting your form into a team drive, and then that way everyone has access to it. So there are some more advanced ways to use this to track your IEP. This is just a beginning to hopefully help you see how to input things from Goalbook into your Google form, store it on your drive, and then be able to use that information to quickly pull up your student progress and be able to get those IEP, easy IEP updates done faster. Because the faster you do this stuff, the more time you have to spend with your students and the more time you have to do other things. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, my email is kmcclint@hisd.org, and let me know if you guys would like an advanced version of this video. I would be happy to do that for you. So thank you for watching and happy data collecting.